Welcome back. The Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture is in Japan, probably on her way back now. She, along with her husband, her personal assistant, the deputy permanent secretary in Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, as well as other sports enthusiasts. They have been there for the IAAF team performance. We didn't have much of a performance. Well, that's that. We were talking about whether that was a valid reason to take a team. I mean, I'm concerned about track and field, our sport, because we were doing so well.
Yeah.
And now it seems because of the lack of structure in that ministry that our athletes are now suffering, and we're not seeing the kind of support they need to put the kind of performances they need in. Something ain't right. We were on our way. We were onto something. We were becoming the country known for the quarter milers.
Mm-hmm. And we had a young stable of quarter milers
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
But I also worry, and you made mention of it before the break, about the youth division as well, which I try to work very closely with. And they have been under-resourced for years, and it's not getting better. And at the very least, there seemed to have been direction. And I have to ask the question, what is that direction now? You know what I mean? And particularly in this instance. I remain hopeful.
Boy, we could like you some candles in here.
I remain hopeful, and I'm generally not the hopeful one. But I remain hopeful that there is purpose behind why that delegation went to Japan in the way it was. But again, I guess evidence to the contrary in other areas, things have not been delivered the way that they were supposed to. We have a national youth plan that has been dormant now for almost 8 years or something like that. You know what I mean?
Can I ask this question?
There's all of this stuff.
Can I ask this question? We live in a country with under 500,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Danny Johnson had a clue. That is, Danny Johnson has to be the most memorable minister of youth and sports in my lifetime, for certain, if you minus a Charlie Maynard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the guy had set a trajectory. Would it kill the FNM to bring him on as a consultant, or does the fact that he is a pledged allegiance to PLP mean that the ideas in his head must all sit dormant and lie in waste simply because the guy wears a yellow t-shirt?
Well, in this country, we're more ignorant than we've ever been before, because in this country, you can have all the knowledge and skill in the world, but if you don't pledge your allegiance to the right party, we don't want to hear from you until you're party in power. And it's killing us as a country. It is killing us as a nation.
It really is.
It's killing us.
It really is. But I also think if what is missing is Danny Johnson's brain, then there is a breakdown in structure in the civil service.
But at least the guy had an idea.
Well, yes, but this is I'm certain he did. What I'm saying is this is the reason why, and I've written them myself when I was in the civil service. This is what handover briefs are for. Now the question is, were briefs handed over and people just went, I ain't using that, right? Because
said it's the people's time.
And this is why there are civil servants, because they don't go when politicians go, and so there's supposed to be an institutional memory around this.
I believe. Sorry, go ahead.
No. I'm just saying that we shouldn't have to bring Danny Johnson back to have his ideas.
Right.
And if those ideas were good, it shouldn't matter whether they came from PLP or FNM.
The point I wanted to make is these ministries ought to be run by professionals in the ministry.
Yes.
A government minister should not be so involved in the operation of a ministry that it changes every 5 years. A government minister is the policy maker from the cabinet office to set the direction of that ministry. You're not supposed to operate the ministry. It ain't your CEO company.
I agree.
It's not your company. The ministry is supposed to run by its professionals who should not be political. Sadly, who should not be political appointees. There should be people who can be able to run from election parties to parties to parties to parties, because they're professionals.
When you get a bunch of lawyers and accountants who've all their lives run one-person law firms, right? And you put them in charge of $100 million budget and thousands of staff without any training. not just in management, but these people, a lot of our folks come in and they don't know what policy is.
Right.
They don't know how to make it. They don't know the politics of policy. They don't understand how to communicate policy to the Bahamian public or any public for that
Matter of fact,
matter.
policy means that as a minister, you have to have a vision.
Exactly.
So the minute you get an appointment, you have to sit down and say, what is it that my government wants to see done,
it's not
and
just
implement
vision.
that.
That vision has to be attended by data. It has to
Yeah.
have been debated internally.
Yes.
There has to be some ideology behind it, and those things are constantly missing from the equation.
I would imagine, right, that if I became a cabinet minister tomorrow, then without any of this institutional knowledge that you talk about, I would get on the phone and say, hi, Joey Gaskins, what I need you to do is show up to my office and tell me how you draft policy.
Right.
What I'm saying is we can no longer continue to run this country like the population is so massive,
Yeah.
we could cut the country straight down the middle of the, once a party wins. If Daniel Johnson had a plan that works, I understand ministers shouldn't be CEOs. But let's look at what the facts
Right.
are.
But
Ever
understand,
since he's
though,
left the
what he
chair,
did was good, because I believe his plan wasn't just his idea. I believe his plan was who he surrounded himself with
Right.
and what he brought
Precisely.
together.
So
So,
he may be
that
able-
worked, then let's work it.
he knows the team. He knows the
Yeah.
team that can build it. He knows the people to go to and market it. He knows the contacts that. And what I'm saying to you is, it wasn't like the Bahamas was just doing track and field. No, I remember seeing FIFA under Danny Johnson.
Yeah.
I didn't even know beach soccer was a thing.
None of us even
either.
knew. I didn't know how to soccer
I
stadium
didn't know
looked when I
beach
went there. I
soccer
like,
was
wow.
a thing.
Yeah.
Danny Johnson came, all of a sudden, we've got beach soccer. And all I'm saying is, will it kill Lanisha Rule to get on the phone and say, Danny, help me?
So this is not unusual in politics. I always take, for example, chiefs of staff for presidents. Every chief of staff that comes in calls a number of chiefs of staff that have come before them, right?
Right.
And those are Republican or Democrat, no matter
Right.
which side you're on, because the lessons that you learn in that position should be transferred. And even more than that, what matters is that we do the best job for the country.
Correct.
It doesn't matter if I do the best job as an FNM so I can get reelected. It doesn't matter. It means if we all do the best job we can for the country, we all benefit. And by virtue of that, you may also get reelected.
Yes.
Right.
But by that institutional exchange, I agree with this. Yes, you should have these conversations with your predecessors, right? The successors should reach out to these people. All of the obstacles, bumps, issues that you're having, there's nothing new under the sun. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. We are not the only country in the world. That's the other thing. So your predecessor may not have done a good job, but as a minister, you have the opportunity to call a bunch of other ministers around the globe, within the Commonwealth, among the UN, within a number of these organizations that we are party to, and ask them how they did it. Because there are successful programs out there that all we need to do is adopt and tweak for our own benefit.
I know, a great part of it was we were putting sporting facilities on Family Islands to be able to allow those athletes to have proper facilities. That was under under the previous administration. Where does that happen now? We have the Morris Island track and field. If Morris Island was turning out track athletes for quarter milers, what happened to their track and field?
Clint, I want us to not live in a vacuum, man. We let the baseball stadium sit down there for 18 months at a price tag of $15,000 a month with a crane hanging in the air that nobody was doing nothing on. You really think these people care about Amor's Island? We can't get them to fix the thing right there in the sports center.
And what are we doing about it as a people? Are we just
Waiting
sitting
to
down
vote
talking
them out.
about it on shows, waiting for election to come, or are we demanding as a people that we've hired? You know what? If you hire somebody and they're not doing their job, what happens?
We can send them to the pool and
So
tag
why are we sitting back saying, "Oh, you ain't doing a job, but we can just wait"?
it. That's the way Bahamians are. We'll see you in 5 years.
We're going to a break. When you come back, we're going to grade the government. This is the 2-year anniversary of the government in power. Grade the government and your thoughts on the government. And then I want you to respond to, last week we had on the show, Don, who represented the Free National Movement, and Roberts, who represented the PLP. Their reaction. Don said he gave his party an A. Only why he didn't give him an A+ is because the term ain't finished yet. We're going to grade them right after this. Take a closer back.
They say time flies when you're having fun, but can you believe it's been 1 year since Eyewitness News made its debut? We're the new news standard, and to show our appreciation for your support, we're having a week-long celebration. We'll highlight some of the best moments in news since 2018. We take the fun to the streets of the capital on Saturday at 11 a.m. with an exciting float parade. Come out to see the country's top news reporters as we spread the love. And then join us at R.M. Bailey Park, where the float parade will culminate at 2 p.m. There will be 20 exciting pop-up vendors for you to enjoy sweet treats and so much more. And then on Sunday, we invite you to celebrate with us at our anniversary church service to be held at Trinity Assembly City of Praise. It's our 1-year anniversary, and we want you to celebrate with us.
Welcome back. Just last weekend, the Free National Movement celebrated 2 years in office. Can you believe it's been 2 years already? What grade are we giving them? Last week, the Deputy Speaker of the House, Don Saunders, gave the government an A. He said he would have given them an A+. They finished their term, but they're not done yet. So he gives them an A. The opposition who was here, Mr. Roberts, Obi Roberts, I think he gave them an F. He said they've not done anything. They've made it life more difficult for people. They've increased taxes, not provided jobs. They've made life difficult. Both raising interesting points. What do you give them?
Don't look at me.
In all fairness, Glenn, I'm a fair man. I think that this government right now is operating at about a C-. When we see the blunders like IAAF, we cannot ever forget Oban and the cataclysmic failure the government had with sitting cabinet ministers and rolling camera footage while they allowed a man who, if you did a single Google check of his name, would tell you that the man is a felony criminal in the United States of America, yet they let him waltz right into the cabinet office of the Bahamas and smile and take pictures with the prime minister while writing somebody else's name on a contract, only to have the prime minister come back and lie and say, oh, well, this was only ceremonial, and we actually did the thing a couple days ago, only to come back and find out that that was a... So we can't ever let them forget that. Then we have to look at what's going on in other ministries of the government. There's the Frank Smith case. That was a blunder. Shane Gibson has finally gotten a date. We don't know what will happen with that. That could possibly turn out to be a blunder. So all of the corruption, all of the things that the Free National Movement claim was going on, Peter Turnquest came back and say, what you mean the VAT money was missing? Man, we know it was never missing. Sidney Colley said, we knew it wasn't missing. We knew it was in the Treasury. When they asked Peter Turnquest, well, where's the money? Peter Turnquest said, y'all don't hear that, the money in the Treasury. all I'm saying to you is, people won't forget these things, right? The government comes to power, they put into place bills that are pro-immigration. And while I'm pro-immigration, I'm saying that there are people around me that I know and grew up with that are being put out of their homes and that are living in hardship. All right? I understand that they're doing or making great strides in Grand Bahama. That has yet to materialize on the ground, and you can hear the Reverend Frederick McAlpine hooping and hollering about it every chance he gets. Are they well-intentioned? I believe they are. But I mean, if you have good intentions to open up the life vest, that don't mean you'll survive drowning.
Yeah. I think, for me, I think it's one of the unfortunate narratives of Bahamian politics, and I think to a certain extent this government may have fallen into it. And it's this idea that Free National Movement policies tend to benefit people on the macro level, but people don't feel it at the dinner table, right? And I think that's okay when you do that correctly, right? When you lay out, and I've said it before in the show, a coherent vision for the Bahamian people who need relief now, but would understand, I think, that we are on a pathway towards something, and this is a little bit of suffering now, or a lot of suffering for many of you, and we're trying to flush this up on the back end and help you out here, but we need to get some things in order now so that we could benefit in the long run. And what you've not heard articulated in a way that the everyday Bahamian understands is that that's what's happening here. And so what you have are, I think, some fresh new ideas on the macro level, but people not seeing the bread on the table, not being able to see the effect on their gas bills, on the way that they move around the city, et cetera, et cetera. Right. And I think if the FNM says that they have an F and the PLP says that the FNM says that they have an A and the PLP says that they have an F, I think Lee is right. We're somewhere in the middle right now at a C.
Right.
2 years in is a little late, but it's also a good time to buckle up and say,
Right.
you know what? We're going to assess those first 2 years honestly. And I don't understand why politicians just can't say, yo, that was really, like, we really messed that up. And we were learning in the
Right.
process. But we got it right now, and here's the direction that we're going in, you know?
Here's my thing. My concern is this. If that is what you campaigned on, that you were kind of come in and make it a little difficult getting started, put some policies and platforms in place that we needed to put us on, and then things will get better, then I could understand what you're doing and say this is your pattern. The Free National Movement didn't do that. The Free National Movement campaigned on one thing, that when we get in, it'll be your time.
Yes.
They didn't say it'll be your time in the last year. They didn't say we're going to go in and you're going to have a hard pill to swallow. Who heard them in the campaign say, if we're elected, the first 2 years is going to be very difficult for you? They never said that.
'Cause we're rating the
They campaigned saying that it's time now for you to benefit.
But-
Too many people before benefited and special interest groups benefited. When we get to office, it's going to be all about you.
I see the FS.
And so my question is, if that is your slogan, I have to mark you on your slogan, not what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because you don't ask me to mark you on what you're doing. You ask me to mark you on what you promised to do.
and I think
you
that that's-
promised to make it my time.
Right.
So the question is it really my time?
Yeah.
And if Bahamians can't say it's their time, then you get an F.
I think-
I don't care what you're doing because you promised people that you were going to look out for them and take care of them. You have not done that. So you have failed at your promise.
Yeah, I think unfortunately there were a number of poison pills that were taken during the campaign. I think, you know, the way that some of these court cases have turned out, that was a poison pill that hats were hung on. I think the slogan was a poison pill. And the thing is, you know, if you look at the Obama campaign, the 2008 Obama campaign, he was very clear. It's time for hope. But that means you and I, we have to work together, right? This is not going to be, you can lay out a case for the Bahamian people. Because here's the thing, the Bahamian people ain't stupid. Bahamians may get on my nerves sometimes. They may think Bahamians are super conservative. They may be too whatever, but they're not stupid. If you tell Bahamians who know that things are hard right now, that it's going to be a little difficult, but we got to get this ship together, I think Bahamians would have jumped on board with that.
Hold on, let me just deal with this. Let me deal with this concern about, everybody has to deal with what governments have left in place before they can do some things. And let me tell you why I have a problem with that. Because people say, that's being indifferent because the governments have to put in place structure first. Let me say this to you. You know you wanted to be the government before you got in place. You know that every government going to leave some kind of damage or some kind of garbage. So the fact that you cannot manage that shows that you weren't ready to govern. Because even though another previous government may have left things the way they left it in, you still have to know how to genuinely deal with what they've left in and still fix the problem. That's called good governance. Now they're telling me we out of time. I got to wrap up.
Still not
That's our
enough
show.
time.
Still enough time. That's our show. We'll see you back tomorrow for our anniversary show, everybody. For all of us, good night.